Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're not going to be talking about Brawl Talk, unfortunately, even though there was so much epic content to cover. You can check out other content creators for that, but for us, we're going to be focusing on balance changes and what I believe should be happening with the next set of balance changes. Of course, update is around the corner, and balance changes are normally every single month. So these are going to be the brawlers which I believe need a buff the most and a nerf the most. I think I've got 9 on each category, so 9 buffs and 9 nerfs. So I'll be going into that. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Alright guys, so starting off with the nerfs, and the one brawler which I believe needs a nerf the most right now in the meta is going to be Stu. Basically everything about him right now is pretty much broken. He can be nerfed in so many different categories. I feel like he does too much damage. He also gets his dash a little bit too quick. Maybe every 2 shots he gets his dash. Something needs to be changed in his mechanics, because I feel like there's not a single brawler really that hard counters Stu in the game. He can basically win every single matchup, so there's a lot of mechanics which need to be nerfed with Stu. Okay, so the brawler which I believe needs a nerf the second most is going to be Ruffs. Ruffs right now, well, ever since his release, has been so OP, and the main way I want him to be nerfed is his super. Either there needs to be like a expiration for how long the power cube actually lasts for. So now it's just indefinitely until your teammates or yourself dies. It needs to be like a 20-second or even a 10-second countdown, because having that power cube the entire game is so OP. You get the HP and the damage boost. It's just too much. And then maybe it needs a little bit of a tweak with his unload speed. I feel like right now you can literally unload 3 Ruffs shots instantly with auto aim, and it's a little bit too broken. So next up on the nerf list, hopefully, is going to be Mr. P. Mr. P has been meta for a long time now, and Mr. P is probably the most annoying brawler in the game. They definitely need to nerf his new gadget, because that gadget can get so much pressure, especially when applied on a brawler that doesn't have a lot of damage up close or just has a really slow reload speed. It can be so annoying to take that out, and especially throws as well. It can be so annoying already. And the revolving door, I feel like there's just too much pressure with the porters. I don't feel like there should be a brawler in the game which literally the porters are going to be doing most of the work for him. So they need to also nerf his porter HP as well. Even if the porters were literally like 1 HP, I still feel like they'll be pretty good. Okay, so next up on nerf list, we have a Byron, and I feel like Byron's basically like the perfect brawler in the sense that it can obviously heal up your teammates and do damage to the enemy team. And Byron right now, he may not be, is not the complete strongest brawler, but he's still so good right now. The range in the, well, the amount of times you can tap people at max range is just so easy to actually get that shot onto them. Maybe they need to make it so it's a little bit harder, or that it's a slower of a release on the shot. I feel like just a shot mechanic with Byron is kind of crazy right now. They probably just need to actually make him a little bit squishier as well, because even though right now he's got the same HP as Spike, he could be a little bit squishy and a little bit easier to take down. Hence, not just basically staying alive for the whole time with those gadgets. Okay, so next up is Max. Max is an interesting one. I really do like Max in the meta, but the amount of speed that Max gets right now is a little bit too crazy. So for sure, I feel like they need to nerf her supercharged star power. It just gets your supers too quick. Maybe they need to make it so you need a couple more bullets to get your super as well. I feel like that change was really unnecessary, because now Max, as you've seen, actually has turned into like a gem grab mid, and she's basically everywhere in every single combo right now. In ladder, she's insane. So they need to make it so you get your supercharge a little bit less. Okay, so next up we have Amber, and I know we're just going through like the best brawlers in the game right now, but I'm trying to suggest the best options to actually nerf them. With Amber, I'm not completely entirely sure how they're going to fix her, because I just feel like just the mechanics with Amber is just broken, in the fact that once you lock onto an enemy, there's no way they can actually get out of that fire and basically dodge. You can't dodge Amber's main attack. I feel like it's really broken, especially if you're speeded up with the gadget or you got max speed. Amber's just crazy right now. Probably we need to make her a little bit more squishy, easier to take down, because at least if you're able to take her down pretty quick, then obviously you're going to be able to kill her quick enough. There's multiple ways that you can nerf Amber. So next up on the nerf list is surprisingly Sandy. Sandy's in a good spot right now, but I feel like he just gets his super too quick. I feel like they should revert the change from making it from 6 shots. Well, it is now 5, so taking it back to 6 shots should allow Sandy just to not charge supers quick enough. It's kind of annoying when there's an enemy Sandy on the other team, especially on a grassy map like Sneaky Fields, and they can just keep cycling their supers over and over again. It's just too much pressure and too annoying for me. They either need to do that or just take down the amount of time the supers on the field. It's like 10 seconds is a lot of time, maybe like 8 seconds. I feel like that'll be enough to nerf Sandy. So next up we have 8-Bit on the nerf list, and I feel like 8-Bit can't really be touched other than just a small nerf with his damage in the boost. I think it does 50% now. I feel like that's just too much, especially for your teammates as well, because there's a lot of combos now, especially in gem grab, where you can just put your 8-bit turret back in spawn and you can have like a Mr. P or a Sprout just sit on that 8-bit turret and just deal so much damage that the enemy team really can't push up because of how much damage, as I said, is in that 8-bit turret. I feel like overall it can get countered because you can take that turret down and then he's not as OP as before. But if you keep that turret up, it's just no way you can really push up against it. 8-bit is really good right now. Okay, so lastly on the brawlers, which I'm hoping are going to get a nerf, is Sprout. So Sprout is a weird one because, again, the usage rate on ladder really isn't that high because I just feel like people don't really understand how to play Sprout and how good he actually is. But in terms of competitive, Sprout is such a highly picked brawler because he does so much damage at range. He counters so many different brawlers in the game. I feel like they need to nerf his damage and also nerf his photosynthesis star power. It's just too tanky. A brawler that's a thrower should not have that amount of damage reduction. I feel like we need to actually turn that down a little bit. Yeah, Sprout is just so crazy good right now. Alright guys, so now moving on to the brawlers, well, the 9 brawlers, which I believe deserve a buff the most. The first one's going to be Leon, although he's received a few buffs recently and it's actually increased his viability a little bit more. I still feel like he's not the strongest brawler right now, so either they need to increase his damage a little bit more to make him even better assassin, just taking people down, or they need to actually buff his gadget in a way, I'm not too sure, maybe make the gadget a little bit more tanky so it's actually got more viability, or just give him a really good second gadget that's going to make him really OP. So next up we have a Dino, and every single time I talk about a Dino there's always some controversy over what people should do with Dynamite, and that I always rate Dynamite lower than he actually is. But in terms of competitive, the story is that he's just not good. He's never ever used in competitive because every other thrower in the game, Tick, Barley, Sprout, is just so much better, so much more reliable. And I feel like he needs a buff in either the time it takes for the actual dynamite sticks to actually blow up, because then you can hit your shots much faster on the enemy, or they need to give him more damage. Something like this needs to be done with Dynamite because right now he's just not good in the meta. So next up we have El Primo, and this won't be a balance change video without mentioning how trash El Primo is in the meta. You guys have probably heard it a million times already, but El Primo really does need some love. He's getting a little bit more viability in the meta because there's a lot of BB and Primo just completely wrecks BB. But other than that, I feel like it's just way better options than him right now. And as I always say with El Primo, he probably either needs like a slight HP buff or he needs a buff in his star powers so that he doesn't get crazy broken. But El Primo, of course, as always, is just trash. Okay, so now I'm moving on to Bull, another brawler which has been terrible in the meta for a long time now. One indirect buff to Bull, which I've spoke about a few times, is just giving better maps to be played on. So some better heist maps could make him stronger in the meta again. I feel like his overall stats aren't the worst, to be honest. Maybe give him a little bit more HP. Maybe actually buff his star power even more, his tough guy one, so he gets even stronger. Other than that, I feel like he's got a balanced kit overall. It's just the meta and the maps just really don't favor him. So again, it wouldn't be a balance change video without talking about how trash Shelly is. Shelly needs some love in this meta. It's going to be really hard because she's a starting brawler. But again, she needs some love. Probably make that band-aid time a little bit shorter. They need to fix clay pigeons because ever since its release, it's been so trash. So again, they need to kind of balance that type of thing. Shelly's been slowly getting some buffs, but I feel like it'll be a long time until we see Shelly meta again. So next up is Lou, and although he's received, I think, around 3 buffs, even more buffs within the last set balance changes, he's still so trash in the meta. A lot of this is dependent on meta brawlers like Mr. P, who just completely destroy Lou. I feel like there actually needs to be a mechanic change with Lou. So the main reason why pros don't really use him a lot of the times is because his free shooting mechanic, the fact that he shoots 3 bullets, it's actually hard to connect with a lot of these. A lot of the time, normally you just hit like one of those. So maybe actually give him an extra snow cone could make it so he's even stronger in the meta, because his super is really good and it actually ticks down some damage as well with that buff. I feel like they actually just need to change his shooting mechanic. So next up, we actually have Serge, and he's one of these brawlers where he's really meta dependent, but as time has gone on, as a bunch of different brawlers have become really good, Serge has just been slowly dropping down the list, and it's mainly due to the fact that he has a slow reload speed. The slow reload speed can really hurt him in the 1v1 engagements, especially when there's so many Mr. P porters around. There's so many rough sandbags, which it takes Serge forever to destroy. I feel like he only needs a slight buff in his reload speed. So next up, we have Carla, and I feel like this one is so simple. They just need to revert back his old range. I feel like Carl can never really be a good brawler unless they actually revert back that range. As I said, it doesn't matter how many buffs they give him. They tried to buff his other gadget, but that's just going to be terrible. His star power, it's not really going to do too much. 5% isn't enough. It just doesn't survive in those 1v1 engagements. He hasn't got the range to actually kill people. So yeah, Carl just needs his range back. So lastly, on the brawlers, which I believe deserve a buff the most, it's going to be Spike. So a lot of people may feel like Spike is a really balanced brawler right now, but in terms of competitive and usage rate, Spike, I don't think I've seen Spike in any sort of competition for probably at least a month plus, mainly because of the meta. Like the Mr. P brawlers just completely wreck him. He's got really slow reload speed right now, so Spike probably needs his reload speed back and maybe like a slight buff to his HP or something like that. But Spike basically is so trash in this meta, he needs some love. Alright guys, that's the end of today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Just a short video on the balance changes, which I believe Brawl Stars desperately need. So I could have touched on this a lot more, could have gone way more in depth, but just on the front of things, I feel like these are the balance changes that need to be addressed as quickly as possible to make the meta as balanced as possible. But as you guys know, the meta can never be balanced because you don't really want that. You want brawlers to be OP in certain stages, but then obviously get nerfed and then new brawlers come into light. That's kind of freshens up the meta a lot. So that's going to be the end of today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.